In the dark, twisted world of serial killers, there exists a chilling subset, those who have never been caught. These elusive predators have left behind a trail of unsolved mysteries and fear, captivating the public's imagination and sparking curiosity. Join us as we delve into the stories of 10 notorious serial killers who have managed to evade capture, leaving a haunting legacy of terror and unanswered questions. The Oakland County child killer, also known as the babysitter killer, is an unidentified serial killer who murdered at least 4 children in Michigan between 1976 and 1977. The killer's macabre alias comes from the fact that he bathed each child before committing the crimes, which led FBI profilers to posit that the killer had some form of twisted parental instinct. Canada's Route 16, known as the Highway of Tears, has been the site of at least 18 murders or disappearances between 1969 and 2011, mostly of Indigenous women. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police found only enough evidence to prosecute one of the murders, leaving the other 17 cases unsolved. Investigators believe multiple killers were patrolling the highway over the span of 50 years. Spurring Scotland's most extensive manhunt, the answer of who exactly is Bible John has remained a mystery in the 50-something years since the murders of Patricia Docker in 1968 and Jemima MacDonald and Helen Puttock in 1969. All 3 victims were beaten and raped before their murders after meeting the killer at the same popular Glasgow nightclub, the Barrowland Ballroom. The Alphabet murders occurred in the early 1970s in Rochester, New York. The killer's alias comes from his choice of victims. He only chose victims, all of whom were young girls, with first and last names beginning with the same letter. However, police have never managed to close the case, despite having several persons of interest. The West Mesa bone collector is thought to be responsible for the deaths of 11 women and linked to 13 women still missing in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Police considered several suspects, but lacked enough evidence to make a strong case against anyone. Recent theories have suggested that the West Mesa bone collector may actually be multiple people running a sex trafficking ring. One of America's first known serial killers, the servant girl annihilator, killed 7 women and 1 man in Austin, Texas between December 1884 and December 1885. All the victims were domestic staff, either killed while sleeping or dragged out of their beds and killed outside their homes. Because the case was nearly 125 years ago, police records are spotty. The Long Island Killer is an unknown murderer who's been killing in New York from 1996 to, possibly, the present. Somewhere between 10 and 17 murders can be attributed to the Long Island Killer, and since he may or may not still be operating, he's one of the most recent serial killers in America to remain at large. The Doodler sexually assaulted and stabbed several men in San Francisco from January 1974 to September 1975. Though San Francisco has always been quite liberal, members of the LGBTQ+ community were generally not accepted into San Francisco's mainstream community in the 1970s, leading many of the killer's surviving victims to decline to cooperate with police for fear of being outed. The Zodiac Killer is perhaps the most infamous unsolved serial killer case in the United States. The killer made himself known to city residents by leaving clues at the murder scenes, threatening to shoot school buses full of children, and mailing pieces of victims' clothing to the San Francisco Chronicle newspaper. London's Jack the Ripper murdered at least 5 women in the late 19th century and taunted police by sending cryptic messages and clues. Despite numerous suspects over the years, the case remains open, making Jack the Ripper one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in criminal history.